Hey! For years, the Pokemon community has been frustrated with what the Pokemon Company delivers. And to be honest, we're kinda right. Throughout the years on the Switch, we've seen a variety of titles. Some introduced phenomenal game-changing features, while others fell short. However, this video will explore why we still eagerly grab these games whenever they release. Many of us are boomers and have been following the Pokemon games and anime from the start. We're obsessively waiting for the lore to continue. It's like watching an exciting series where the main character meets new characters and unlocks new powerful forms. In our case, that's Mega Evolution, Terrestrialization, and of course, big boring Z-moves. Some of us old-timers are still watching the anime, and it's definitely getting better. We've upgrading from mentioning a boring, not so useful legendary to one of the most powerful Pokemon ever. If this isn't an upgrade, I don't know what is. We're so old, but now the main protagonist isn't us, but instead a Funko professor. If you're enjoying the video so far, body slam that subscribe and like button. Your support helps our community grow and brings more awesome pixel art animations. Some players, myself included, buy these games driven by an intense desire to test our limits and become one of the best Pokemon trainers of all time. The games gives us the opportunity to dig into the depths of our minds. Bringing an old strategy to life or creating a new one is the most exciting part for me, and then ending up losing to Paralyze. Getting hexed may be the worst feeling you can experience in VGC. However, turning the tables and winning against all odds is the best feeling ever. By the way, totally not having underdog syndrome. Now, the reason that immediately came to mind when you clicked this video is of course nostalgia. Each one of us has unique personal memories playing the games. For example, I played Pokemon Fire Red as a kid and I didn't understand any English, so I had to pass Rock Tunnel with no flash. After some time, I thought of following the NPC battles to the exit, and it worked. Also, who hasn't imagined what it would be like if Pokemon were real? Pokemon could do plenty of crazy useful things, such as teleporting us to another place, controlling time, forecasting the weather, and many other things. I'm still dreaming about it. Anyways, back to nostalgia. This is a feeling that the Pokemon Company has instilled in us over the countless hours we've spent playing the games, trying to gather all 8 badges and become the champion. In conclusion, the Pokemon Company has countless opportunities to elevate their game. They can leverage existing Pokemon to create incredible stories and breathtaking adventures. With the resources they have, the potential to craft an exciting new journey for fans old and new. I would love to hear your adventure stories and how you imagine a world full of Pokemon. Now, let's take a closer look at the Switch era of Pokemon games. When the console came out, every Pokemon fan were expecting a new modern graphic game that would blow their eyes out and Gen 8 to start their new adventure. And that's what they gave us, right? Right? Nah, wrong. Instead, we got a Pokemon Yellow remake. However, for the reasons we've talked about before, we were hyped anyways. The textures of the game are really beautiful, and everything is good because of nostalgia, but not quite what we have expected. I mean, don't make me wrong, it was an enjoyable remake, but, you know, still a remake. However, almost a year after, in June 5th, Pokemon Company would show us something decent. Pokemon Sword and Shield. To be honest, for most of us the trailer looked promising. It was a good looking game. The gimmick of this gen was Dynamax. Many people consider generic the concept of making your Pokemon stronger by making them bigger and compare them with Transformers.
What?
That was the good part of Sword and Shield. It of course had a bad side as well. As a fan that wants to experience a well-written story, I were at best disappointed. The dialogues were bigger than Eternatus and the plot was boring. The most talked about was character's haircut. From that, you can guess how
spectacular the game was.
The biggest scandal of Pokemon Sword and Shield was this. The only reason I can find for why did they not add a national dex is because they want us to buy all of the games to have access to every Pokemon. As expected from a game genre monopoly, this game had a huge impact on competitive Pokemon by bringing some Pokemon that will hardly ever stop being in the meta. Talking about overpowered Pokemon, let's talk about the new DLC that came out almost a year after the main game. Of course, we followed the same path. At first, we were all hyped at what was coming, but not long after it came out, the hype died. They once again gave us a game with a Garbodor tone of dialogue, but that only goes for the first part. The second part, in my opinion, was better even than the main game. Competitive wise, they have created a power grip and 2 horses ready to destroy. The story was cool but shallow. However, they give the ability to shiny hunters to find most of the shiny legendaries throughout DA's aka Dynamax Adventures, and provided them with some other shiny legendaries in giveaways and competitions. Now let's talk about the darkest page of the Nintendo Switch Pokemon era. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. They are just remakes. How are they bad? The answer is simple. They are not remakes. They are damn remasters. For me and many others, it was a disappointment. I wish Pokemon Company took their time to make something creative and new. Nothing more to say about this. But wait! In the same present that they show us Pokemon BDSP, we had something that we've been waiting for. A game that was not only creative, but it was a whole new concept.
This is a tale from a long, long time ago, when the Sinnoh region was still only a vast wilderness. A certain village bustled with the comings and goings of people.
That's none other than Pokemon Legends of Arceus. This game was one of the most enjoyable Pokemon games for me. Its graphics were excellent and it had a fresh ideology. Pokemon in the wild can now kill you. And some of them are really serious about it. I felt like I was playing a Pokemon Souls-like game, dodging the crazy attacks of Hisuian Pokemon and throwing them a pouch full of their favorite food to make them calm down. It also was the first Pokemon game to give us a crafting system, and that made it look like a survival game. So now we have a survival Souls-like game. I mean, I don't think there is more to ask for if we consider that it came out just a year after Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. This way, Pokemon Company confirmed that the youngest child is indeed the most favored. But then, it was finally time for Generation 9 to release. Everyone was really hyped to buy the game, and that showed from the almost 25 million sales they made just a year after release. This game is even ranked as the third best-selling Pokemon game. It introduced a concept new to Pokemon, open world. It basically had 3 main quest lines to complete the story, and you could finish it in whatever order you'd like. The story was tremendously good compared to other Pokemon games, and to be honest, I've enjoyed and still enjoying the game a lot. It included an obsessed, but overall good rival, the concept of the future and the past, and most importantly, Larry. Larry was becoming more famous day after day. He almost surpassed Cynthia. Not in my heart though. On the other hand, it had a lot of bugs and FPS drops. But to be honest, that did not really stop me from experiencing one of the best Pokemon games ever. We even had an upgrade in graphics, but compared to Pokemon Arceus, looked like a downgrade to me. Also, the new and most important part was the rasterization. This feature brought to life Pokemon that for years were out of the conversation of being competitively viable. Overall, Pokemon Violet, that I bought because Miraidon is better, was great. It seemed like they had a solid structure but could improve the game by patching it even more. A year after, do you see a pattern here? They have released the first part of the DLC. For me, it was decent, and Ogerpon is hell of a good legendary. I will not spoil more, play the game yourself. I don't regret the time playing at the least. Also, 3GC had a massive upgrade, and with Hisuian Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet, a new threat started getting in every tournament's top 10, but that was only the start. Some months passed, and the second part of the DLC came out as well. I pulled an all-nighter to play the whole thing, and I can say that it was perfect. Story-wise, it was amazing. It brought over 200 Pokemon back. One of them made me happier to be back than the others. Also, Synchro Mode was here. Let me explain what this is. Synchro Mode is basically a new technology that synchronizes the mind of your Pokemon with yours, and you can control your Pokemon. Sounds creepy, but it was cool. Last but not least, a new mythical Pokemon came out, and they've presented it with a small but cool story that I personally love. The Pokemon Peach. In Greece, we call it Pekarant, but it is called Pekarant. One more game is expected to come out, and we're all hyped about it as always. I believe in it though, because I believe that Pokemon Company has learned that postponing a game to make it almost perfect is not something that shouldn't happen. However, I keep my expectations to minimum, because usually I'm waiting for the next game of the year, and most of the times I am far off.